So we're down at Ontario Place, and what you're seeing over there is the wood chipper destroying the forest on our public parkland. It's absolutely shameful what's happening down here. And yesterday, to distract attention from what the government's doing over here, the destruction of our public parkland, is they released the lease. They finally released the lease on Ontario Place. It is one of the worst deals, if not the worst deal, any government has ever imposed on the people of Ontario. And there's a lot of really bad deals that governments have made. The former Conservative government sold the 407 in a 99-year lease for $3 billion. And the current Conservative government, after 30 years of paying fees, is thinking about buying it back for $35 billion. The last Liberal government sold Ontario Hydro, the last bit of Ontario Hydro, for $9 billion. And now our rates are 4 times higher than they were when it was a public utility. And we're subsidizing this private for-profit hydro corporation $6.9 billion a year. The lease on Ontario Place is just about as bad. So the government estimates that the Therme is going to pay us $1.1 billion over the 95 years of their lease, plus another 800. So round that off to $2 billion. Ford said on July 21st, we, the taxpayers, are subsidizing this project here at Ontario Place to the tune of $1.5 billion. And so we're going to get paid back in 100 years, in 95 years. And in the last 100 years, the average inflation rate was 3% per year. So that 1.5 that we're putting in now is going to be worth $25 billion 100 years from now. So, and they're going to pay us back $2 billion. And it gets worse. When you actually get into the deal of it, Therme is a base amount that they have to pay in rent, but most of the rent is actually rent geared to income. So if they make money, they pay rent. But if they don't make money, well, it's the taxpayers who are taking the risk on this deal, according to the lease. Absolutely shameful. The government says that this property that we are giving them in the lease for 95 years is worth about $55 million. That is a gross underestimate. Property in downtown Toronto sells for at least $40 million an acre, and a commercial property sells for $200 a buildable square foot. They are building a 700,000 square foot glass dome on this property here, on our public parkland. That makes the value of the property about $200 per square foot times 700,000, $1.4 billion in property. So we are giving this company $1.5 billion subsidy and $1.4 billion in property, and they only have to pay us the full amount of rent if they make a profit. It's the worst deal in Ontario history. Ford and the Conservatives should be absolutely ashamed, and every taxpayer in Ontario, you should be furious with this, because it's not just us who are going to be paying for this. Our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren are going to be paying for this fiasco here at Ontario Place.